We are recording again. Thank you very much for joining the Weeknight Mysteries podcast. My name is Yuras, and as always, I am here with Rain, the co host. How are you?
Hello, and as always, completely okay. How are you?
Pretty good. Today we're going to be talking about a disappearance of another person. I think we have been talking about several disappearances lately, but this is another one that I found while I was looking for interesting topics to talk about on the podcast. And Erin Gilbert, 24-year-old woman, goes missing from Girdwood, Alaska, a very small town, around 40 minutes of driving away from the biggest city in Alaska, which would be Anchorage. Erin Gilbert, she was originally, as I understand, from San Francisco. We will be talking about how she ended up in Alaska to begin with and the details surrounding her strange disappearance. Was it foul play? Was it an accident? I don't know. I guess it's up for everyone to decide for themselves because this case is currently unsolved and Erin Gilbert has been missing since 1995. I was trying to find a little bit more information about Erin's background. Were you able to find anything about where she is from originally?
No, actually not.
Same here.
I just know that she was living in San Francisco and she moved to Alaska because of her sister.
Yeah, that's the same information I had. I don't know exactly if she is like born in San Francisco or whatever, but I know that she's definitely not a native of Alaska. So she disappears on July 1st, 1995. Let's go into how she even ended up in that predicament to begin with. So she has been at this time missing for nearly 30 years. I think next year will be the 30th anniversary of her disappearance.
That's a lot of time, and as far as I'm aware, there were no updates about her case, right?
Yeah, there hasn't been anything as of late, as I understand. Before Erin moved to Alaska, she lived in San Francisco, but in 1994, she relocated to Alaska to live with her older sister, Stephanie, and Stephanie's husband. So both Stephanie and her husband, they were living on the Elmendorf Air Force Base. There's like this military Air Force base in Alaska, and I believe that Stephanie's husband, he at the time of this case, he was in the military, and I'm not really sure what Stephanie was doing. Perhaps you ran into that.
Nope.
So Stephanie being Erin's older sister.
Mm-hmm.
But I do know that Stephanie and her husband, they had a child together, or multiple children. Do you know how many?
I have no idea how many, but I am aware that they were a family unit.
Yeah, they were parents.
Mm-hmm.
So Erin, the younger sister, decides to move to Alaska.
I wonder why, though.
To Alaska? Why why she decided to go there?
Mm-hmm. There isn't much information about it, right?
There isn't much information about it as far as I remember. She just basically what I was able to gather was that Erin was, what was she doing? She was modeling a little bit in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
And her sister even said that she was actually getting way more hand modeling gigs than, the regular modeling.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And she does have that model face, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, she does have a model face. She looks like she's quite tall, quite athletic. She did play basketball. I see we even have some images of her playing basketball. So she goes there and she lives in Alaska for about a year before she disappears. She took up a job working as a nanny, and I was able to find that she was a nanny for two doctors who were working on the military base. So, the military base has their own doctors, and I think the doctors had a child, and Erin was babysitting. According to Erin's sister, Stephanie, Erin enjoyed this job. She enjoyed being the nanny, and she really liked the kid that she was taking care of while, the parents were busy working on the military base. Everything went down when on July 1st, 1995, Erin and a man named David Combs went to Girdwood. As I mentioned earlier, Girdwood is around 40 miles away from Anchorage, so I think it would be like an hour's drive away, to attend a festival. Apparently, Girdwood is somewhat known for their fair, for the festival.
Actually, I'm gonna have to cut you off for a moment there because I got distracted by Erin's few basketball pictures because we don't really know where she was from or where she grew up. But then I noticed her basketball pictures and her uniform is saying something like Everett. Everett
really?
Seagulls. And a quick Google search, apparently it's from Washington State.
Oh, that makes so much sense because I've heard Washington being mentioned as well. Okay, so she was from Washington State originally.
I'm assuming so, because based on the information we have, during high school, she was pretty active and she did a lot of basketball, football, track, and softball. And since the picture says Everett Seagulls from Washington, I'm assuming that she grew up in Washington State.
Yeah, could be. It could be Washington State being the West Coast. We're not talking about the capital here, right? There's Washington State and Washington City.
Very good question for a girl who doesn't know crap about American geography. 1 second.
No, I definitely think it's Washington State. But yeah, you could double check that. I will proceed with the story. So
I got it. It's like below Vancouver.
Yeah, definitely Washington State, then not the capital of America. Just to clarify, I don't think that really plays into the story though.
Yeah, no, I was curious in your question if I have any information on where she was from, and seems like we kind of figured it out.
Yeah, okay, we solved the mystery within a mystery. That's good to know. So where we stopped is that July 1st, 1995, Erin goes out on a date to Girdwood Fair with David Combs. She had met this David Combs a few days prior to her disappearance at a local pub known as Chilkoot Charlie's. Do you have any additional details about the location or how they met?
All I know is that Anchorage was probably around 1 second.
Yeah, like
Not super close from where she was living, from the air base, and she was basically there to play pool because apparently it was a pastime of hers. And then she met David, and then they exchanged phone numbers, and then he called her a few days later, inviting her to the festival.
Yeah, that's a good point. She did like to play pool a lot. I also was able to gain some information about Erin and this pub. So this was the first time that Erin went to this pub alone because she would usually go to the pub with her sister, Stephanie, and her husband. So this was the first time where she went all by herself. And yeah, she met this guy, David Combs. So yeah, a couple days later, July 1st, they decide to go to the Girdwood Fair. So David arrives at Erin's place. Erin at this time is living with her sister and, her family. So at first, I know that the sister's husband wanted to check him out, basically to make sure this guy looks legit. So I was listening to an interview that Stephanie did a few years earlier, and she said that initially when she saw David, she was not impressed. He was basically like a tall guy, but he wasn't necessarily good looking or anything like that. Strangely enough, I was trying to find David Combs' picture just to see how he looks now or looked back in like 95. I wasn't able to find his picture. Have you found him?
No, not at all. I've been trying to find even like a Facebook of his. Nothing.
Nothing. That's strange. It's almost like this guy is in hiding now. Sorta.
I mean, yeah, I bet.
Pretty strange. So now the timeline will get a little bit messed up here. So let's kind of try to follow along here and see if we could make any sense of it. After picking up Erin at her place at around 4 p.m., they went to the fair. I think they left Anchorage at about 4 p.m. in the afternoon. Erin was last seen at the fair's beer garden with David before the two of them left approximately 6 p.m. At 6 p.m.
6 p.m. And this was July, right?
Yeah.
So I'm assuming it wasn't that dark.
So
Probably sunset.
In Alaska, the darkness levels are way different from anywhere else. If you know what I'm saying. So I think they had light up until almost like midnight. So it was definitely a lot of light at that point. So immediately this is strange because they spent 1 hour driving to Girdwood Fair and they left the fair at 6 p.m. So if they left Anchorage at 4 p.m. and already were done with the fair at 6 p.m., this just makes, I don't know if it's strange or not, because I'm trying to put myself in their shoes.
Maybe it's a small fair?
It's a small fair, 1 hour. Do you think it's a little too quick if you spend like 1 hour driving there?
Yes, unless... Oh yeah, definitely, considering the hour drive. But then again, it's America. It's probably the norm for them.
I'm also thinking maybe it's like, the first date. So maybe they're more interested in just talking. Mm-hmm. So maybe the drive itself is
the date.
Is like the date.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I saw that some people found this particular detail kind of strange, that David and Erin leave the fair 1 hour into the fair, but at the same time I'm thinking, putting myself in their shoes, if it's a small fair, would I really find something to do for longer than an hour?
Yeah, it's a fair. What would you see in a fair?
Probably some food, probably some mini games.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Then sellers.
Yep. You could just walk around that thing in 1 hour.
I wonder if there's a carnival in there.
Yeah, maybe there was actually, but I wasn't able to find any images from the fair from 95. I didn't Google the fair. I don't know, like maybe those were more recent pictures, but it really didn't seem that big. It seemed like quite a small fair.
So do you think an hour of like looking around would be enough.
I mean, from the pictures that I've seen online, I would say yeah. That's probably as long as I would take in that place. So maybe that's not that suspicious. So when Erin was last seen, we don't know exactly who were the last people who saw Erin, but when I'm saying that she was last seen at approximately 6 p.m., I'm already not referring to David Combs as the person who last saw her, because as some of our listeners may already suspect, David Combs is a person of interest in this case. So we don't really focus on when she was last seen by David. I would like to focus on when somebody else saw them together. And I think it was 6 p.m. leaving the fair. At that time, Erin was wearing a black leather jacket. She was also wearing a black and white shirt, mountain boots, and black jeans. So probably like very common outfit for the location, I would say. According to David, the two of them returned to his car, and I don't know if David provided any information to law enforcement about what they were about to do next. Were they about to go back home, or were they about to go drive somewhere else? Maybe you ran into this. So
Nope,
you don't have
nothing
that.
at all.
You don't have that information. So we don't know. It's, oh, sorry, guys. Technical difficulties. I just hit my mic with my water. Anyways, proceeding. So I don't know exactly what the OG plan was for them next, but according to David, his car's battery was now dead because by accident he had left his headlights on, and that drained his car. So I
Do you
think
think it's possible?
it's definitely possible. So this is definitely a possible thing that could happen if you leave your headlights on for too long. Yeah, this is
No,
like
I meant like, is it possible for someone to get out of their car with the headlights on?
yeah, definitely. I feel like it's possible, especially on those like older cars in 95. I think it's possible. So so that's his story. So then he claims that he told Erin that he would go get help from a friend's house who was living close by. He then proceeded to walk around for 2 hours, and somehow he could not find the friend's house. And mind you, David Combs, according to some sources, was familiar with Girdwood. He knew people from Girdwood, so he proceeded to walk for 2 hours without Erin, and then he could not find a friend. So he goes back at the car, and at this point I think it's already 8 p.m. in the evening, and Erin is no longer at the car.
How close was this friend's house?
Yeah, I have no idea. Like, and I looked at Girdwood. Honestly, it doesn't look like there's enough like area
To go around
for 2
2
hours.
yeah.
For 2 hours basically. What?
Maybe he was trying to go to the city? Anchorage?
No, because it's way too far. It's impossible. So that's
Maybe he was trying to reach it and then...
definitely not. that I don't think that makes any sense. But I will say this: I don't understand why Erin would be sitting in the car for 2 hours as he was
Exactly,
walking
yeah.
around. Anyways, so when David returned, Erin was no longer in the car, and David initially assumed that Erin returned to the fair. So the fair was still going on apparently at this point. And another bizarre thing is that now when David tried to start the car's engine one more time, miraculously now it was working.
How convenient.
Yeah, very convenient. So David returned to the fairgrounds and searched for Erin until 1 a.m. So if he went back there at 8 and he stayed there until 1 a.m., he was literally looking for Erin for like 5 hours at the fair, which doesn't look like it's even that big.
Wasn't it smarter to drive back to her sister's place and ask if she managed to get home early?
Yeah, or like, I don't know, give.
Maybe there's no maybe there's no phones back then. I doubt it. There's probably like phones, like the old school ones.
So I don't think they had cell phones
Mm.
in 95. I'm sure someone had, but I don't think they had specifically. So the next morning, Stephanie got a phone call from David. And David was asking Stephanie if Erin made it back home. So Stephanie immediately sensed that something was off. And she sensed that she is potentially talking to a killer on the phone. That's
Creepy.
That's what she said.
Mm-hmm.
So she asked some questions. She didn't go into too much information. She said that she doesn't remember exactly fully what she talked with David, but I think she said that she felt like she could be talking to a killer. So she just got her husband, I think their kids, and they drove to Girdwood to look for Erin. They went to the organizers because I think the fair was still happening, and the organizers, they kind of like went on stage and they used like a microphone, and they announced that, you know, this woman Erin Gilbert is now missing. Have you seen her? Law enforcement organized a large search utilizing some helicopters and some search dogs, but there were no signs of Erin anywhere in the vicinity of the fair. And up until now, almost 30 years later, Erin has never been seen again. In 2017, so this is a lot more recent, Police Lieutenant Randy McFern commented publicly on the case. He said that we don't know for sure what happened. We don't know if this was foul play or not. We don't know anything.
Wait. I'm so sorry for cutting you off here.
Of course.
David's car.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it wasn't searched.
I don't know. I don't think I ran into this information if David's car was searched.
Okay, that's crazy.
But yeah, since nothing ever came out, I don't know if
It's
there
pretty
was...
weird, right?
That David's car wasn't searched?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was searched.
Yeah, maybe it's just not public information.
Yeah, I think we don't know for sure if his car was searched.
This case is pretty tough because we don't know much details about it, other than she just seemingly disappeared out of nowhere.
Yeah. So, you know, police guy, Lieutenant Randy, he said it's going to be very hard because we don't have much to go off of. And he said somebody knows something, and he encourages people to speak to law enforcement about the case. So honestly, this is where the story ends. I don't have much more information. Sure, we have like some bits and pieces that we were trying to gather, but I personally didn't find a lot of information on this case. This is one of the cases where, you know, you really have to kind of like dig deep to get anything out of it. I don't know, anything from the story that you would like to add towards, or
Honestly, yeah, no, nothing at all.
nothing, right? It feels like there's definitely some details are missing.
It's kind of frustrating actually, because if there was, for example, a piece of her clothing found nearby or something, at least we have something to make assumptions of.
Definitely.
But it seems like she disappeared and no one ever came forward. Like, seeing her, talking to her. I mean, of course, there was one who saw her at the beer garden at 6 p.m., but that's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. So I was trying to dig around a little bit, to kind of get some more information about Erin's case. So, yeah, at first sight, it seems like we're lacking some information, even without like going into some Reddit threads or even on the Facebook page that is ran by Erin's family. I immediately suspected that something is off with David's story.
Oh, definitely.
It
Come on.
immediately jumped into my mind,
It's so sketchy.
even without like, because if you read this case on the Wikipedia, it's not stated that David is a suspect or anything like that. But even without that in your face, that statement in your face, you sort of start suspecting David. Right, there's a lot of holes in his story. I think we're gonna dissect those holes in a little bit, but before we do that, I would like to talk a little bit about what I was able to find on the Finding Erin Mary Gilbert Facebook page. Have you ran across this Facebook page?
Yes, it's actually. I find it really nice because it seems like this page is run by her family. And the latest post, I believe, was on the 4th of May. And they were greeting her, Erin, a happy birthday. And it's actually kind of like bittersweet, basically. Like sad, but also kind of heartwarming that even after 30 years, they're still out there trying to search for her. Their hardest.
Oh man, that's super nice. And yeah, another thing to mention is this case is almost 30 years old at this point, and the latest post on that Facebook page is literally just a few days ago, this year. So that's interesting.
Still alive.
Really cool, really cool. But I was able to go through a couple of those posts, and I marked down certain things that I found interesting. So let me bear with me because I already forgot what exactly I found interesting from each of these posts. I'm not going to be reading all of them, but I'm going to give you a general sentiment of what the family is thinking. And let's start with the post that I found on January 11th of this year. This is a post made by, I believe, Stephanie. Yeah, I assume this is Stephanie who wrote this post. She is saying that I was scrolling through Facebook and this picture came across my feed in Girdwood. It's funny how a picture can stop you in your tracks. This store is where we parked the morning Erin went missing. I am sure Erin went into the store and stood by this store when she went missing. If you have information about what happened to Erin, letting the world know she is still missing and we are still looking for her. So yeah, I see that I somehow didn't include this image of the store in the notes, but I remember what I was seeing. So basically, it was a store. I don't know exactly why Erin's sister thinks that she went to that particular store, but that's something to think about. Then we have last year, July 5th. I'm just going to read a snippet from another post, and this is something that I found interesting. This is Nicole Smith. She asked about Dave waiting to call us until the next morning. I think about this all the time. Oh, so this is interesting. Now I understand why I marked this one down. So I'm not sure if you remember, but the general timeline is that David literally waited until the next morning at 7 a.m. to call and ask if Erin was back home, which is bizarre. I'm pretty sure you agree with me that that's kind of like a weird, like, amount of time to pass until you call the family. So I think Stephanie is the one who's writing this. She is writing that this particular detail really absorbed her. Anyone would have called us immediately that evening. We did not get any help, in my opinion, because at that time she was 24 and we're the age of 18. And if I remember correctly, in those days, it was commonplace for police to wait for 48 hours. We now know today that should not occur by police departments. It was also 4th of July weekend. I believe that lack of staffing played a part of getting no response, because I called immediately and no one came from the police department. Scrolling down a little bit in this post, what I found interesting was that she says something interesting. She says, I also remember looking over at David as he was eating a hot dog. I will never forget that moment either. I almost knew immediately I was afraid of him. So, David Combs. And this is a very strange detail I'm about to tell you. And I'm not sure if you ran into this one, but this makes me think that David, I don't know, man. It just makes me wonder. So when David called Stephanie the next day at 7 a.m., we don't know, at least it was never publicly announced, where David was calling from. David was living in Anchorage, so you would think naturally that he probably went back home.
I'm assuming so, yeah.
And called from Anchorage. But when Stephanie packed her stuff real quick and drove all the way to Girdwood, David was already there. He was nonchalant, eating a hot dog. And Stephanie says that he seemed super chill, like way too relaxed for the situation, obviously. So why this is bizarre is because Erin, when she went on the date with David, she did not tell her sister that she was planning to spend the night in Girdwood. But if David never went back home to Anchorage, isn't that kind of strange that David had already pre-arranged living quarters in Girdwood?
But what if he actually just went back to Girdwood the morning after?
But if he was so, I don't know, like unbothered by the fact that Erin is missing, why would he now rush?
Oh yeah, that's true. And then act nonchalant.
Act nonchalant? That doesn't make any sense. His actions, to me, indicate that he never left Girdwood.
Yeah, I'm trying to put myself in his shoes. Like, what would I do? For example, I'm in a first date, and then all of a sudden the person that I'm in a date with suddenly disappeared on me. Honestly, I would assume that person probably just ghosted me. But then again, this is a new day and age. We have phones. But if, for example, I'm on a date and then my date didn't have any car, had to drive him to the festival, and then he just disappeared, I would be worried, honestly.
Yeah, 95. It was a different time.
Yep. And I'm assuming that public transportation is not as, I would say, efficient in there. I'm just assuming. Because it seems a little rural.
I don't even know if they had like a bus or something going from Girdwood to Anchorage. Maybe they did, but I don't know.
Yeah, but still, if you go with one person to to a certain place at a certain festival and that person doesn't have a car or a phone, and then that person disappeared, you would be worried. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm just trying to think out loud. Yeah, it doesn't make sense the way he was so nonchalant about everything.
It doesn't make sense. And then also what makes me weirded out is the fact that did he already have prearranged lodging?
He probably slept in his car, you know.
I mean, we'd never have this explained to us, so we can't
He
really.
probably spent the whole night trying to find Erin or doing something.
But then why
else.
wouldn't he call? Why would and then okay, let's say let's say he slept in his car. So then he, according to him, he spends from 8 to 1 a.m. 5 hours in total searching for Erin. He can't find her, so he goes to sleep in his car. He wakes up, I don't know, at 7 a.m. or something like that, and then he calls from somewhere to inform.
Telephone.
Yeah, telephone, but where
Like a
is
payphone, maybe.
Yeah, so whichever phone he finds, he calls Stephanie, and then Stephanie comes out there and he's just eating a hot dog.
For breakfast, maybe.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know where she went.
Pretty weird.
It just sits bad with you, you know, like this whole story doesn't really fit nicely. Another post that I found interesting from the Facebook page is that apparently Erin went missing 29 years ago today. And Stephanie, I believe this is Stephanie who's writing these posts. She's saying, Dave Combs, please go to the cold case unit tomorrow morning and help us find Erin. So I think the family members are definitely suspicious about
I think everyone is.
David. But that's strange because David was never mentioned as a person of interest by police. So I am interested.
That's what I don't understand, honestly. He was the last person who had seen her, but nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe it's just not public information. Maybe it was interviewed. Maybe his car was searched. Maybe they didn't find anything, and so they didn't release any information. I don't know.
Maybe they're suspecting him, but they don't have enough information to kind of like, you know, come out there publicly. And honestly, if they come out there publicly, does that like give them some sort of an advantage to like publicly accuse David? I mean, I feel like David being a person, it's like it doesn't get any more obvious that this guy is a person of interest. So for them to like publicly announce that, yo, David, you know, he is a person of interest in this case, I don't think it moves the case further to like a resolution. It's actually even better, I think, if they, you know, don't announce that David is like a suspect and they monitor his movements.
But did they though?
I feel like they did, because this is where another post from the Facebook that was interesting to me, and bear with me, I only have a couple more of these. So this is how it goes. This is from last year, and I think Stephanie's writing this. I was thinking about the first time I walked into this office, meaning the police office. My husband and I sat in a room and were brought the case file for Erin. I remember it was a thick binder, one or two of them. And it was redacted. I wanted to see the work that had been done on Erin's case. I opened the binder and tried to understand what had been written, and it was very difficult, and really I was unable to read it, which I guess is the point of it being redacted. I remember asking a few questions but was unsure at the time of what to ask. I was told by the original detective 3 lies were told to the cold case unit in the original investigation. So that's it. 3 lies were told to police originally. So I'm just rationally assuming that David Combs was the one telling those 3 lies, because it was never explained like who exactly told 3 lies or what those 3 lies were. But somehow police were able to like figure out that someone is lying to them 3 times. I know this case doesn't have a lot of information. We are really like just grabbing for straws here, but that's the only way we could keep this case rolling here. Erin's case. So yeah, 3 lies. Any thoughts? Or did you even understand what I was saying?
No, I completely understand. It's just that I don't know what to say, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you.
It's like, yeah, I can't even form any assumptions here.
But then maybe they caught David lying to them 3 times. And I feel like, who else would be lying? Who else would be
Definitely, yeah.
lying to them? I mean, it's only David. Who else could be lying?
True.
Okay, a couple more posts. Let me check exactly what I found interesting here. Okay, so another post, the family's telling David to come forward, talk to police in Anchorage. Oh, and there was another post from April 21st of 23, so a couple years ago. I think whoever is writing these posts on the Facebook page, they're saying that they're wondering if David has any girlfriends. And perhaps David had mentioned anything about Erin's case to one of his girlfriends.
I wonder if this David guy is still living in Anchorage.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Right?
I have no
Because
idea.
it seems like a smaller community that if you're guilty of something, you would just leave.
Yeah, you would just. No, actually,
Go back to the mainland.
No, I won't agree with you because I was shocked at how big Anchorage is. It's not that small. It's
Oh,
not that tiny.
really?
It's like 250K people. It's like a real city.
Oh.
Anchorage is not a little town. Anchorage is like a real city. Yeah. It's like a real city. And yeah. So let's move on. I did find a very good. If you're gonna try to find out more information about this case, obviously you have to go to the Unfound podcast. Unfound podcast is a really cool podcast because they did an interview, I think on episode 50 of that podcast, with Stephanie, Erin's sister, and I was able to grab like some notes from that interview that I found interesting. So let me just kind of give you some of the information I was able to gather on it. Did you listen to this interview? Probably not, right? So let me tell you a little bit about it. So yeah, we found out that Erin was originally from San Francisco. Yeah, moved to Alaska to be close to Stephanie, her sister, and she was working at the Air Force. We already knew that. So, her sister said that she was athletic, outgoing, conversational, and intelligent. She was involved in modeling at some point. So another interesting thing here is that she gave her phone number to David at the pub when they met, but she had not dated anyone in Alaska for a whole year because she had been there for like 1 year before she went missing, and she had not dated or given her phone number to anyone in Alaska. So I guess this even paints a bigger like red circle on top of David, in my opinion, because he was the only, like male, what I mean, person in her life at that point, if that makes any sense. Another thing is that the phone call when David called Stephanie in the morning of Erin's disappearance lasted around 5 minutes. That's what she said. I don't think she remembers much of that phone call. She said that she thought she was potentially talking to a killer. How eerie is that? Like, she just remembers she thinks she was immediately, like within minutes, us getting a hint that she's talking to a killer.
Really creepy, honestly. I don't know what made her say that. Is it the vibe? Was it the voice? Or
I wish we had I wish we could have like something about David, what I
yeah.
mean?
I mean, I'm really curious at who this David guy is. Like, friends, family members, like any background, you know.
Yeah.
And his name is very common, so it's pretty tough to find a David in
David
Anchorage.
Combs.
Yeah.
Also, Stephanie said that during that 5-minute phone call, she already did not believe what David was telling her. Kind of crazy, man. So Stephanie ran into David at Girdwood. He was eating a hot dog, and he was nonchalant about the whole circumstance. Stephanie said that Erin, well, she knew Erin, and Erin wasn't the type of person who would stay in the car while the other person is looking for help. She would either go with David to, go get help, get some jumper cables or something like that. Or if David was gone for a long time, she would probably go out and try to get help that way. But I don't think what Stephanie is saying is that she said that Erin wasn't the type of person who would just wait around until she would be rescued.
I agree, because David's story is kind of really odd, mainly because why walk 2 hours just to get help? It's a festival, there's a lot of people. It's probably easier to get help there.
That's a good point. I actually ran into some Reddit comments talking about the same thing, is that there's a bunch of people at the festival. You could ask someone for help there.
Why specifically walk 2 hours?
Maybe, I guess I could see that, because if he did have some specific friends, then I guess it would make sense. But
2 hours?
But then him not finding those friends?
And then all of a sudden the car started?
Yeah, that's crazy. There was a little... There was another interesting thing here. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of clarity on this particular sighting, but there is a witness, and I don't know how this came about. I don't know if this witness reported this to maybe Erin's family or the police or whatnot, but there was a witness who allegedly saw Erin at a tattoo parlor at the fair. Okay, so if this fair has a tattoo parlor, then maybe
it's pretty massive.
Maybe it's a bigger thing than we thought.
Than what we have here, basically.
Yeah, no, we don't get tattoo parlors for like a fair. So maybe this was a bit of a bigger thing, regardless. And it was the 4th of July weekend, so
yes,
probably so there was
massive.
it should have been like a big thing there. So what's interesting about it is that this particular sighting says that Erin was alone without David. So this would be interesting for us, because this would maybe like to some extent corroborate what David had been saying, that he was out looking for help, and that maybe Erin went back into the fair and was seen at the tattoo parlor by herself. However, there was a detective who I think spoke to Stephanie, the latest detective on the case, and he said that he suspects that actually they were together at the tattoo parlor. I don't know how exactly they could get this information, but once again, just another clue in this case where we just don't know exactly what's happening. So Dave's story about the car breaking down, allegedly, according to Stephanie, during this interview, she said that it changed several times. According to Stephanie, at some point, David told, I believe the police or something like that, that the car initially broke down them right after, on the way to the fair. And then later on, he changed the story that this car breaks down as they already are trying to leave back home to Anchorage. So that's suspicious.
I don't find that part suspicious. Maybe it's an old car. Maybe it actually happened.
No, what's suspicious is that the story changes.
Oh.
At
Okay,
first,
yeah.
at first he's
Definitely.
saying that it breaks down
It's
on
not
the
just
way.
one story. Like, oh, it broke down on the way, or also broke down on the way back.
Yeah, so that's kind of a lot of people are finding that particular detail kind of strange. Also, according to Stephanie, David is familiar with some people in Girdwood, possibly some friends. Apparently, and this is where the interview with Stephanie kind of was a little bit conspiratorial. I would like to put it that way, because what Stephanie said next kind of like made this case go 180, dude, because Stephanie said that she was approached by a woman. Okay, I don't think she were named like who this woman was, but this is a woman who did her own investigation, and this woman said that there's actually quite a bit of women who are missing from Girdwood. And then somehow they kept talking about it, and apparently there is this, and this definitely sounds like a conspiracy theory, that somehow Erin's disappearance could actually also involve Ted Stevens. So before I looked into Erin's case, I did not know who Ted Stevens is.
I thought you were gonna say Ted Bundy or something.
No, it doesn't go that far down the rabbit hole. It could be allegedly connected to Ted Stevens. Okay, so Ted Stevens, I believe, is the all-time record longest senator in United States. This guy has been a senator, I think, for almost like 40 years for Alaska. So he's been like a big person for Alaska. He was representing Alaska like for a long time. Even the Anchorage airport is now named after him. So apparently what had happened is that Ted Stevens was friends with a guy. What's this guy's name? I forgot the guy's name, but this person is a CEO of WECO. WACO is originally it was an oil company, I think oil drilling company out of Alaska. So a lot of money coming in, and this guy was the CEO. So according to the conspiracy, well, this has been proving, there was investigation into Ted Stevens, that this guy, this CEO of VACO, dude, I need to find this guy's name. I know I have him here somewhere in the notes. I finally was able to find it. Bill Allen, also deceased, just like Ted himself. Ted Stevens actually died in at 86 from like an airplane accident. I don't know, that was crazy. He was flying like a small airplane and crashed. I know, it was crazy. Anyways, Bill Allen apparently did some work on one of Ted Stevens' cabins or properties in Girdwood, and did some pro bono stuff, which may have came out of he was supposed to pay for it, but Bill Allen kind of covered it for him, and that would be considered taking a gift, which is illegal. You know what I mean? You can't, as a public servant, you cannot take gifts. So it's like corruption a little bit. And this guy Bill Allen apparently had a case involving minors and abuse, something like that. So now there's this bigger conspiracy that David Combs, our guy David Combs.
But Erin was 24.
Yeah, but anyways, David Combs. But it doesn't matter. It could happen to anyone.
True.
The David Combs apparently knew uh, that other guy's what?
Ted.
Not Ted, but the other business guy. What, Alan? Do you remember his name? Man, I'm kind of going crazy here. You forgot.
I forgot, but I would say
Bill Allen. No, let's get this over with. Apparently, David knew Bill Allen's kids. Okay, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I'm gonna go straight into it. I'm gonna just legit just bust it out right now. There's speculation that David Combs knew Bill Allen's kids.
it's a little too far-fetched for me.
And
But
that
maybe it's possible, maybe.
I don't know. You didn't sound like you believe in it.
No, yeah, personally I don't, but
Yeah, me
there
neither.
could always be a possibility.
I'm
of
just
it.
like trying to cover the bases here. Honestly, I would say it sounds a little bit,
Too far-fetched.
a little too far fetched in my opinion. But yeah, that's another thing to kind of consider. And yeah, I think other than that, nothing really I was able to ascertain, and that was where basically my research on this case ends. I will say that for me, there are things that are really uneasy for me, and there are reasons why I think David is suspicious, like the car breaking down and then magically working again
After 2 hours of walking.
after 2 hours of walking is kind of strange. Him walking around for 2 hours and coming back and then apparently searching for her for another 5 hours.
5 hours is a little too long to search for someone in a festival, no matter how big it is. No?
Yeah, if you're searching for her for 5 hours, I don't know what kind
I'd
of.
rather call. He managed to call early in the morning.
Yeah, why not call earlier in the timeline?
During the day, yeah.
I agree with that. Yeah, didn't contact the family.
Or anyone, any organizers of that festival.
Yeah,
Could have been easier.
It doesn't seem like anyone reported him searching for Erin. Also, he was unusually calm as he was chowing down on that hot dog in the morning.
Do you think he... What do you think he was doing in those hours?
Which hours? Like the 8 to 5 or
Yeah.
like during the night?
From...
In general,
Yeah, in
right?
general. From 6 p.m.
Oh man, I have no idea. And
to the time he was eating hot dog.
I have no idea. There's just no information about like his specific actions. So who knows exactly what he was doing? Yeah, so I would say that, with the limited amount of information that we have here, I'm definitely suspecting that David had something to do with Erin, and I know we're across the. I know we want to say something, but I want to just finish my thought before I forget. I know we are across the pond here, so it's harder for us to get legally attacked. That's why I'm gonna
Don't do this every episode, because one day we will get hit.
This is the last time.
And don't say any personal stuff or like names.
Yeah, so a person of interest in this case could have made advances towards Erin that were rejected, leading to
David?
No,
Oh, it's a different one.
Yeah, I mean, you told me not to say any name.
Okay.
I mean, it could be anyone, right? A person of interest in this case could have made, I think, advances towards Erin. I could see that happening, and that kind of like ending in violence. Or I also see a scenario where, okay, well, I have to mention a name because this is gonna just sound crazy if I don't. Okay, I will just put it out there. I could see how maybe David lied to Erin that the car won't start, and he told her, let's go find jumper cables, and he lured her to somewhere in Girdwood. So that's what I think could have happened. That's just the only thing that kind of jumps to my mind.
I agree with you. There could be a possibility that, maybe a huge possibility at this point, that David, do you think he abducted Erin? Or do you think it was a date gone wrong?
I would like to say that I think that David could be responsible for Erin's disappearance, but I also would like to say that I think there's a chance that he's not.
Yeah.
So I don't want to, and I'm not just saying it because, we have to like protect ourselves or something like that. I'm literally saying that because I kind of believe there could be a chance, and maybe David is just this really like strange guy who's like just eating a hot dog the next day and just doesn't really care too much about Erin because it's just another girl for him, and he is like, oh, I don't know. But then his story has so many holes that make him very suspicious, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. Also, I'm also open to the possibility that Erin may have been abducted by some stranger in the festival. Maybe, just maybe David was saying the truth, that he had to walk to his friend's house and Erin was left alone in the festival. Maybe Erin was like, you know what, it's taking a while. I'll hitchhike my way back.
That would actually explain why law enforcement never came out with saying that he's, person of interest, maybe because that made sense to them also, like that line of thinking, because you do have a lot of out-of-towners, a lot of people, who are just there for the weekend, and then they're going to be back to their own place. So I could see that happening.
Yeah.
I could see that happening. I'm just suspicious about David, but I could also see that happening.
David's story is definitely odd and very suspicious, but I'm also considering this other theory.
Me too, actually. So now we have two theories. Do we have a third one?
Do you think there's a possibility that Erin ran away?
No, doesn't look like she was about to do that. The only other thing that jumps to my mind is like an accident. She's trying to like kind of walk back home, and an accident
She got
occurs.
lost in the forest or something?
Yeah, something like that. Well, I think some law enforcement already came out and said it's quite unlikely because the search was massive and it was conducted quite quickly. So I don't think that's a likely outcome, but who knows. So we have three theories. I would just put it this way:
Yeah.
if I had to bet like after reading this, and I'm definitely not an expert, but I would say David probably had something to do with it. That's just what I'm thinking. What are you thinking? If you just had to get, if you had to bet on one of these theories,
David.
David.
Mainly because too much time has passed before he let anyone know.
Yeah, that's true.
The story has a lot of holes in it, but at the same time, it's just the time.
Yeah.
The time. Why wait that long? And what did he do there in Girdwood? Why didn't he go back home?
Yeah.
For the whole night, he was searching, as he said so, or was he hiding something?
Yeah. I mean, I wish we get some more information on this case.
It's really sad because I don't even want to say it, but I know it's in our heads that Erin may not be with us anymore.
I mean, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
Unfortunately,
yeah.
it's pretty obvious that she is no longer with us.
Yeah, definitely. But I don't want to be too negative here, but it's just pretty sad because it's just so close to nature, like vast nature, and it's easy to hide the body, I guess, in that massive of an area.
Yeah, but Occam's razor in this case to me is telling me that David is the most likely outcome because it's just the most obvious clue out there.
Definitely, definitely.
So yeah, I would say I would want to ask our audience members to tell us what they think. I'm pretty sure most of you guys are probably leaning the same way. I mean, I would be really interested to find out if someone has a different angle on this case. I would love to read that.
Yeah, definitely. And if we have some listeners who are from Alaska, shot in the dark, most likely not. But if somehow we do, and there's some local gossip or information that is not available online, please let us know.
Oh, that would be great.
That would be amazing.
And we will talk to you on the next podcast. This one was a little bit shorter probably because I think we literally maxed out the amount of talking time for this case. Like there's no more to kind of talk about here. But this is good because gives us a great amount of time to prepare for the next podcast case. And please suggest your topics. Quick mention, now I started seeing actually emails coming in.
Oh, and messages. I remember Mr. Neon. Sorry for not responding to you. We will.
On Facebook, I think I logged in on Facebook, on the Weeknight Mysteries podcast Facebook page.
Messenger.
Messenger. I didn't find any messages from Mr. Neon. Mr. Neon, if you have those messages, actually, I think Rain will be able to.
I'll
show
try
me.
to find them and I'll show them to you.
Either way, if we forgot, please email us. I was gonna say that we are getting quite a bit more emails now, and it's interesting. Like, people are suggesting more cases via email, so I'm happy about that. And shoot us an email. I'm surely gonna read it, and
eventually.
yeah, and let us know. Let us know if there's a topic that you would like us to talk about. I know there has been plenty of suggestions.
We have a huge backlog.
Now we have, and I feel like the next topic we talk about, I feel like we have to go back to what some of the listeners are asking for. So
oh yeah, definitely. We have a list that we have to keep
a
on
list.
checking.
Yeah, the list is growing faster than we can.
We're grateful. Thank you so much for the new and the old listeners, and thank you so much for your suggestions, for the comments, reactions, positive or negative. We are extremely grateful.
Yeah, very grateful. Thank you guys, and we will talk to you soon. Stay safe and see you later.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.